Hello everyone, my name is Sanat Biswal, also known as the accountant guy, and in this video I am going to explain how you can utilize the accounts receivable and payable tracker to track all your customer and your vendor balances. So first of all, we have got a receivable and payable account section on the top which has 4 different views. The first one is the accounts view. So here you can set up your customers and the vendor details with their opening balances and the number of invoices that is due against those opening balance. So as you can see, I have added 2 customers in the customer section and 1 vendor in the vendor section, which is also reflected over here. So in order to add a customer or a vendor, there is a quick action button on the left. So if you click on add vendor, it will quickly add a vendor detail over here, and once you click on this pencil icon, you can start editing all these details. So I'm quickly deleting this. So on a similar note, you can also add a customer. So once you click on this, it will automatically add a customer and you can start editing the details as I explained previously. So after this, once you add the details of the customer, you can feed in the opening balance. There is a starting balance of the receivable or the payable as the case may be, and the invoices that are pending against this amount. Then we move into the receivable section. So here it reflects all the receivable accounts along with the respective details. So as you can see, we had added 2 customer accounts, one by the name of Sandra and the second by the name of Harry. So you can see that we have got the 2 customer details over here, and then we basically see all the transactions that we have carried out. So there is like 2 invoices against these 2 particular customers. So it was on the date of 2nd of October and 16th of August, and we had raised an invoice which is reflected over here. The next thing that reflects over here is the invoice status. So whatever invoice we had raised against this customer, you can change the status over here. So once you click on this, you have like 3 status over here, which you can change accordingly as per your applicable case. And then we have the amount over here. So if any invoice has been paid, you can just simply click on this checkbox over here, and you will find that the invoice amount that has been paid is not getting calculated on the top, which is reflected over here. So if nothing has been paid, you can simply uncheck this and it will automatically calculate the outstanding balance on the top. So basically for each customer, we will have an amount getting reflected on top, which shows how much amount is outstanding as on date, and these are the details reflected against those. On a similar note, you can also find the details on the payable section, where it also shows the details of each transaction, the date on which the invoice was made, the invoice number, the status of the invoice, and the amount that was raised against this invoice. And similarly, you can also click on this paid or uncheck or check this paid button over here, which will also help you to find the balances of the outstanding amount on the top. So after this, we have a summary section which reflects the overall summary of all the transactions carried out. So this reflects total receivable amount, total payable amount, and the net balance. So this is calculated from all the transactions that we have carried on at the section below, which I'll be explaining in a while. So after this, we will move on to the transaction section. So if you see the transaction section, we have like 3 segments over here. The first is the receivable segment, then the payable, and the quarterly summary. So in the receivable segment, basically we have the date, the period against which the date is raised. So once you click on this, you have the 4 periods, and you can select your desired period from these options. These are dealt in quarters. Then you have the description. Then you can specify the account name under the receivable or the payable, whatever we have in hand, and then we can specify the amount, then the invoice number, and the status of the invoice. So once all of these details are fed in, it will automatically update everywhere that we saw on the top. So since we are in the receivable section, we can see that we have created a invoice against Harry by the amount of $150, which was also reflected in the receivable side as I explained earlier, and this is also getting updated over here. So similarly, you can find all these details for payable section as well. One thing to note over here is that in the very first column, we have the paid section, which indicates that if the amount has been paid or not. If you click on this, this indicates the amount has been paid, and this won't be reflected in the total balances for the concerned person. So as of now, it is all unchecked. So we have also a quick action button on the left, which indicates a receivable entry and the payable entry. Once you click on receivable entry, it will add an entry on the receivable side as you just saw, and it will pick the current date, and with the relevant details added over here, you can start feeding in the information over here and it will automatically update. We have bifurcated this entire details into months. So the later the month, it will appear on the top, and then there is an indication of number which indicates how many transactions are carried through for each of this month. On a similar note, you can also use add payable entry. So once you are in the payable section, if you click on add payable entry, it will add a payable payable details over here, and you can start putting your information in this particular added information. So I'm going to quickly delete this. So after this we have a quarterly summary. A quarterly summary is a summary of all the quarters combined. So for each quarter we will have the total receivable amount, total payable amount, and the net balance. As you kind of saw, we had given the details for the third quarter in both the receivable and the payable section. So if you slide this slider to the right, you will find that in the third quarter we have total receivable of 1150, which is nothing but the summation of 150 plus 1000, which is 1150. And in the payable we had like 250, which is also getting reflected over here in the payable side. And the net balance is the receivable less payable, which is $900. So for each quarter you will find this information, and the total amount is also reflected on the top. So this is just a quarterly overview of what is happening in a receivable and payable side. So this is all that I have to explain in the receivable and payable tracker. So you can just quickly add a new customer or vendor detail over here, and then you can start to see the summary of all the receivable and the payable accounts in both these sections, and you can get a quick overview of what is happening overall. So I hope this explanation was clear to you. If you have any questions, do reach out to me at notionformyuse@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to assist you on this. Thank you.